On the day of the wedding, my fiancé's lover found out she was marrying me. He had a heart attack on the spot, and Camila immediately announced the wedding's cancellation. The bride left the groom at the altar and ran off with another man. At that moment, I became the laughingstock of everyone. The guests pointed fingers at me, accusing me of being cruel and calling me a murderer. Despite that, I didn't care at all about their opinion. However, even Camila lashed out at me in anger. Why couldn't it have been you who got sick? Deeply hurt, I threw my wedding outfit into the trash and made a phone call. I'll accept the transfer to headquarters. After Camila left, the guests I had graciously invited gathered around me. Their tone was mocking. If you've done something wrong, you should admit it. Apologize to Felipe, or I won't recognize you as a friend anymore. Since the wedding didn't happen, return all the gifts I brought. This is such bad luck. Their malice was blatant, yet I didn't feel an ounce of pain. Ignoring them, I walked straight out of the wedding venue and tossed my tuxedo into the trash. The wedding had been held on a mountainside where few cars passed by. I walked barefoot on the road. Suddenly, Camila called. As soon as I picked up, she began to berate me. I hid this so well from Felipe. Why did you let it slip and make him find out? She was right. She had hidden everything perfectly. The wedding location was a desolate mountain. Everything had been kept simple. She hadn't invited her friends or family, only mine. Even so, the venue felt empty. Not hearing me respond, her tone sharpened. Felipe didn't even approve of this wedding to begin with, and now it's all ruined. This is your fault. After finding out, there's no way we can get married. Hearing this, I sneered. What is he to you? Your mother or your father? Do you need his permission to get married? Her voice faltered at my retort. After a long pause, she spoke again, pretending to be generous. Fine. Just apologize to Felipe. If he forgives you, maybe we can still go through with the wedding. No need, I said coldly. She was taken aback by my words. What do you mean, no need? Camila scoffed, incredulous. Are you saying you don't want to get married? Don't be ridiculous. I couldn't blame her disbelief. After all, we had been together for 7 years, and I had proposed to Camila 6 times. Until she accepted, marriage had seemed like my obsession. I opened my mouth to say something more, but before I could, I heard Felipe's voice on the other end of the call. Camila, did you tell him you wanted to get married? Camila quickly denied it. No, I would never marry him. The next moment, the call ended, leaving me cast aside like nothing. Suddenly, rain poured down, drenching me completely. The cold water snapped me awake. My obsession with marriage had finally turned into nothing. When I returned home, I was feverish and my throat burned as if on fire. I took some medicine and fell into a hazy sleep. In my daze, I seemed to see Camila. She gently touched my cheek, her expression completely different from the anger she had shown at the wedding. When I sat up, she handed me a bag of luxury goods. Even though the wedding didn't happen, you should still have a ring. I opened the bag and found the receipt still inside. It was newly purchased, so she had never planned anything for the wedding. I took the ring and slid it onto my finger. Then I raised my hand in front of her. With a slight tilt, the ring slipped off my finger and fell lightly to the ground. Is this Felipe's size? I asked, staring at her without a change in my expression. Hearing my words, a flicker of unease crossed Camila's face. Then, as if trying to cover her tracks, she retorted, maybe the designer got the wrong size I mentioned. I'll have it redone. Clicking my tongue, I replied casually, no need. It no longer mattered. Seeing my indifferent attitude, her brows furrowed tightly. Leonardo, how much longer are you going to act like this? She snapped. I was trying to have a civil discussion with you, but look at your pathetic attitude. Let me inform you now, because of his health, Felipe will be staying at our house. Apparently, her rambling only had one goal, to make Felipe stay in our marital home. I didn't want to argue anymore. After a nod, I turned and went to my room. Seeing my silence, she assumed I had given in. Good thing I was smart enough not to put your name on the property deed. Otherwise, who knows how messy this would get, she muttered as I walked away. Later that night, while Camila was lying beside me, Felipe called her. I'm not used to being alone in the hospital. It's uncomfortable, he said. Hearing his voice, she immediately got up, ready to leave. At that moment, my phone also rang. It was my mother. Leonardo, happy birthday, she said warmly. Her voice was loud enough for Camila to hear. Instantly, Camila froze mid-step, her expression stiffening. Today is your birthday? She asked. Why didn't you tell me earlier? But before I could answer, Felipe's crying voice interrupted again on her call. After a moment of hesitation, she turned and walked out. I'll be back later, she said. Watching her resolute figure disappear, I felt no emotion. I simply said into the phone, "Thanks, Mom. I'm coming home. Home. My real home." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Finally, my mom replied, "That's good. No matter what, I support you." She didn't ask why I suddenly wasn't getting married. She knew me well enough to understand that I wasn't impulsive. There had to be a reason. Camila didn't come back that night. The next day, I booked a plane ticket and went to the office to finalize my resignation. By the time I returned to the apartment, it was the middle of the night. When I entered the door code, it repeatedly showed an error. Frustrated, I called Camila several times, but she didn't answer. Desperation led me to kick the door several times. Finally, after a long wait, the door opened. The moment she saw me, she launched into a tirade. "I just got Felipe to sleep, and now you've woken him up with your racket." I ignored her scolding and asked coldly, "You changed the password?" Camila's face was marked by a mix of disdain and exhaustion. She looked like someone who hadn't slept for days, yet her tone was full of contempt. "Yes, I changed the password. Felipe needs to rest, and you, Leonardo, only bring chaos to this house." I took a deep breath, feeling the knot in my throat tighten. There was something cold inside me now, something I no longer tried to hide. "So, this is your house now?" I asked, forcing a calm I didn't feel. "Where do I stand in your life, Camila?" She rolled her eyes, impatient. "Don't start. I'm done arguing with you. Do you want to come in? Then do it already. Just don't make any noise." Crossing the door, I noticed a strong smell of medicine and wilted flowers in the air. Felipe was there, lying on the couch, breathing heavily. He didn't even open his eyes when I passed by. My presence no longer mattered. It wasn't even a nuisance. I didn't exist anymore. Camila walked to him, adjusting his blanket and whispering things I couldn't hear. It was like I was watching the scene of a life that was never mine. I went to the bedroom that had once been ours. Her clothes were scattered everywhere, but something strange caught my eye. Half of my wardrobe was empty. The spaces where my shirts and belongings used to be were completely bare. Camila had already begun erasing me, replacing me, without even having the decency to let me know. I lay down on the bed, but sleep wouldn't come. My mind was racing. All those years of dedication, all the attempts to build a life with her had been in vain. An obsession that had destroyed me piece by piece while she toyed with me like I was a disposable plaything. Memories came back like knives. Smiles that now seemed fake. I love yous that echoed empty. Every moment was a lie I had believed blindly. The silence of the night was interrupted by the sound of the door. I heard Camila's footsteps heading to the living room again, probably answering yet another call from Felipe. Something inside me snapped. I got up, my bare feet meeting the cold floor, and followed her to the living room. She stood with her back to me, phone pressed to her ear, whispering in that sweet voice that once belonged only to me. "I know, love. I'll stay with you. Leonardo will leave soon. He's understood his place." I froze in the doorway, watching her. My hands trembled with rage. Leonardo will leave soon. She had already decided this for me, as if my life and my home no longer mattered, as if I didn't exist. "Who are you, Camila?" My voice was low, but firm enough to make her spin around abruptly. She hung up the phone immediately, surprise on her face. "What are you doing here?" "That's my question. What are you doing here, Camila? In my house? In my life? What's left of me that you haven't destroyed yet?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Oh, please, Leonardo. Stop being so dramatic. Can't you see how pathetic you're being? Felipe needs me." "He? And me?" I interrupted, my voice rising for the first time in months. "Who needed me for the last 7 years? Who used me as a fallback until someone better came along? Who took advantage of every moment, of everything I did, only to throw me away like garbage?" Her eyes widened for a second, but she quickly regained her composure. "You're crazy. I never forced you to do anything. Everything you did because you wanted to. If you regret it now, that's your problem." The laugh that escaped me was bitter, almost deranged. "You're right. I did everything because I wanted to, because I was a blind, lovesick fool. But it's over, Camila. It's over." She stepped closer to me, her face inches from mine. "And what are you going to do? Leave here as a loser? Cry to your mommy?" I leaned in, staring directly into her eyes. "No, Camila. I'm going to leave here with my head held high. And you're going to lose everything. Because that's what you deserve." Before she could respond, I walked to the office, grabbed the documents I had left there months ago, and stuffed them into my bag. Camila followed me, still shouting insults. None of it mattered anymore. The next morning, I went to the bank and signed all the papers necessary to transfer the house to my name, something she never knew I had done before putting it on the market for sale. Before the wedding, my lawyer had advised me to protect everything. And he was right. Camila had no rights to anything. I returned only to grab my bags. Felipe was still asleep on the couch, oblivious to the chaos. Camila stared at me in the doorway, disbelief written all over her face. "What did you do, Leonardo?" Her voice trembled. "What I should have done a long time ago. Goodbye, Camila." I closed the door, leaving behind not just that apartment, but the life I had. I called my mother, and her calm voice brought me a relief I hadn't felt in years. "I'm on my way home, Mom." She sighed on the other end of the line. "We're waiting for you, son." As I drove, my phone rang again. An unknown number. I answered, and a firm voice spoke. "Mr. Leonardo, this is the hospital. Felipe's condition has worsened, and Ms. Camila listed you as the emergency contact." I braked suddenly, my heart pounding. Part of me wanted to hang up and move on. But another part, the part still seeking closure, knew I needed to see how far this would go. "I'm on my way," I replied, emotionless. I didn't know what awaited me at the hospital. One thing was certain, this wasn't over yet, and I wouldn't leave this story without leaving my mark. I arrived at the hospital, still carrying the weight of the past few hours. The corridor was cold, dimly lit, with that typical smell of medicine and disinfectant. A nurse guided me to the reception desk, where the attendant informed me that Felipe was in the intensive care unit. The scene felt like a half-finished nightmare. Me being called to solve a problem that wasn't mine. "Is Camila here?" I asked, more out of curiosity than any real desire to see her. "She left a while ago," the nurse replied indifferently. Of course, when things got tough, Camila ran. That's what she always did. I walked up to the glass of the ICU and saw Felipe lying in the bed, frail, with tubes and machines attached to his body. For the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt pity. Felipe, the man who had torn my life apart, was unrecognizable, like a boy in need of help. Irony. The one who had humiliated me and robbed me of my trust now depended on my mercy. The doctor approached, adjusting her glasses. "His condition is critical. Camila left instructions, but we haven't been able to contact her. You're the only listed emergency contact." I took a deep breath, keeping my emotions in check. "So, doctor, what happens now?" "He needs to be transferred to a larger hospital or placed under home care, but someone has to sign the paperwork and cover the costs." Silence filled the corridor. Home care? Costs? Camila was throwing another burden onto me, trusting that I, as always, would clean up her mess. But not this time. "I can't help," I replied firmly. "My relationship with him is non-existent. If Camila doesn't show up, find another contact." The doctor looked at me in surprise, but didn't argue. For the first time, I wasn't there to fix everything. I wasn't the man who would jump in to save her world anymore. I left the hospital feeling something strange. Relief. It was as if I'd finally broken free of the chains binding me to that story. Yet the feeling was temporary. I knew Camila would come back, that somehow she'd try to pull me back into that cycle. Days later, I got a call from my lawyer. The house had been sold, and the transfer of funds was complete. I now had a healthy bank account, a new job waiting for me at company headquarters, and a plane ticket to a future that was finally mine alone. But, as expected, Camila sought me out. She showed up at my parents' house on the day I was packing my bags. "Can we talk?" Her voice sounded tired, defeated. For the first time, she didn't look arrogant. I crossed my arms, staring at her calmly. "About what, Camila?" She hesitated, maybe because she knew she wouldn't control this conversation. "About Felipe and about us. He's in bad shape, Leonardo. He needs help. And you know, deep down, that I need you too. I need you." Words that would have shattered me once. Now they felt empty. I smirked bitterly. "No, Camila, you don't need me. You need someone to carry the weight of your choices." Her eyes widened, maybe surprised by the coldness in my tone. "How can you be so heartless? I know I messed up, but what?" I cut her off mercilessly. "You threw away 7 years of my life. You lied to me, mocked everything I gave you. Now you just want me to fix the mess you made." She took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. "I don't want to argue. I just wanted to think about Felipe. He'll die if he doesn't get help, and you know it." I stepped closer to her, my gaze unwavering. "You had choices, Camila. You had everything in your hands, and you destroyed it. Don't put this on me." If Felipe dies, that's not my fault. Maybe he made the same bad choices you did. She looked at me as if she didn't recognize me anymore. Who are you? Someone who finally woke up. I took a deep breath, feeling relief in saying what I'd held back for so long. Now leave. My life has no room for you anymore. Camila opened her mouth to respond, but stopped herself. She turned and walked away. I watched her disappear down the dirt road leading from my parents' house. For the first time, I felt that the cycle had been broken. Months later, I was in my new job in a new city. My life was finally simple, organized, without shadows of the past. One Friday afternoon, my mother called. "Leonardo, did you see the news?" "No. What happened?" She hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Felipe died. Camila's on the news. It seems his debts were enormous. She's lost everything, even the house they lived in." A silence stretched between us. I didn't feel joy, but I didn't feel sadness either. It was simply the inevitable result of so many bad choices. "That's a shame," I replied sincerely. "She tried to contact you," my mother added, sounding worried. "But I didn't give her your number." "Thank you, Mom." There's nothing left to say. I hung up the phone and looked out the window of my apartment. The city was alive, full of movement. A new life stretched before me, clean, free of ghosts. Camila had fallen into the hole she dug for herself, and I would no longer extend my hand. That night, while walking through the park near my home, I saw a couple laughing together, sharing glances full of love. I felt a pang in my chest, but it was different this time. It wasn't longing or pain. It was hope. Maybe one day I could love again. Maybe one day, the past would be nothing more than a distant memory. And this time, I was ready to move forward.